Hi everybody, Creative Katie Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel. Today we have an art journal tutorial, part of the Napkin journal series, and I'm using another digital stamp. I'm loving this so much. How did this start? This started with a gel print. Not an on-purpose gel print. This is the pull-off print over a whole gel printing session. And I was just pulling off little bits here and there, and it was sitting there and I just loved the colors. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to use this as an Insta background. I love the colors, so I'm going to jumpstart the process and just glue this down with gel medium. Just kind of cut it to size and getting it. Now there's some white parts. This is very imperfect, but we're going to deal with that. Now, the colors are listed coming up, but I am taking my color story from this gel print. It's going to dictate the feel. It's kind of vintage. The colors that I use and I continue to use later on are quinacridone magenta, Naples yellow, bright aqua, and Prussian blue. And a wonderful thing happens when the Naples yellow mixed with the quinacridone magenta, you get that coral color. When you mix it with the Prussian blue, you get a teal. So now that I have a background, I want to select a focal image. So I've grabbed my napkin binder, and I'll put a link to where I show how I set up my napkin storage. And I'm easily flipping through this and looking at some of the napkins, pulling them out, opening them up, putting them against the background. And if I find one, I take the page divider out and I just set it aside. This can go easily back into the binder. All the napkins that you see here come from NinnysNapkins.com. Or I should say most of them. There are some that I've picked up at the Dollar Tree. So I'm pulling them out, putting them on there. I'm looking for colors that are similar, colors that will go, that will enhance. And as I pull it out, if I get an idea, I put it in the possibilities pile. This napkin, spoiler alert, is the one that I end up using later down the road. Sometimes the napkins or the focal image doesn't fit the size of the page. Now this is, I believe it's called Scrittura Oro, and it's gold script. Now, normally I would have put that on before. I wouldn't have put it on this layer, but I'm in the experimental mood, so I'm putting it down. And you actually do see the script at this stage. I just wanted to make this look a little bit more rustic. And I definitely will be using this napkin again. Nicole at NinnysNapkins has script napkins that are black on white, as well as this gold on this yellow color. And I think they both have their place in a background to add interest to your art journal or mixed media page. Now, spoiler alert, not a lot of this ends up showing because of some decision I made later on. But I have lots of napkin left over and I definitely will be using it again. Now this napkin is black and white, and this is one that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. It's just like a little purse size one. So look for any napkins that are black and white that have any kind of motif. These are perfect for collaging on. The white part goes translucent, so you're going to actually see the color come through, and the black part gives you a lot of contrast. And because I felt this was vintage, I thought, oh, this motif works well here. And I'm putting 3 on. 3 seems to be a good number. It always looks good on the page. So I'm loving how this looks so far. And I'm thinking back again to my focal image. Now, this is a digital stamp from Elena Zinsky Art, the 10 faces to finish. So you get 10 faces. I'm not a drawer. I can't draw. I shrunk this one down to, I think, 85%, and I'm going to put it on the page. I love the colors, but I wanted them to be a little bit more pronounced. So I'm coming in with gesso, the quinacridone magenta, the Naples yellow, the Prussian blue. I'm blending them on the page and just making these colors a little more present. But it's a very soft background. I love this background so much. I will make this again and use it with a different focal image and try from scratch instead of a gel print. I'm adding some of the bright aqua there and the yellow. And again, all those colors came from the gel print. So while not every part of that gel print can be seen now, it has guided my process. Now I'm going to add a little more interest by using stencils. It definitely has a vintage feel, and the motif from the black and white napkin, I'm using the vintage scrolls, that motif there, with the Prussian blue. And I just felt that they really complemented each other and added to the background. And it's the right size for the pattern of that napkin. You want the various elements to work together. You want to build that cohesiveness in as opposed to just putting any kind of stencil in. And again, I'm stenciling with the Prussian blue. I'm not introducing any other colors. Now this stencil is called Butterfly Collage, and I'm using this, it looks as a very small scale chicken wire. So you can use a chicken wire or chicken wire reverse stencil. And I'm doing this with the quinacridone magenta. It's a very subtle pattern, but it adds so much to the background, and I love the scale of it. By adding color and then doing the stenciling, we've also pushed back the napkin, the black and white napkin. So there's my girl from the 10 Faces to Finish, and this is the Nathalie lunch napkin. And I am water cutting several of these butterflies out. There's so many butterflies on here, and they're so usable in so many art journal pages. But what sold me on here was the colors worked so well. So I'm going to cut out 4 of them. I'm not going to show you all 4, but I'm using a liner brush and I'm putting water on it, not soaking wet, and then cutting it out. Now, because the napkin will go translucent, I am adding a bit of gesso underneath. And I'm using a makeup sponge to put that on, and it'll make it so that the butterfly colors stay true. None of that dark mark will come through them. And it gives that airy feel to it. These butterflies look very much watercolory, And you really do keep that by doing this process. Now, don't worry that there is this white halo around the butterfly because I didn't go exactly where the butterfly is. I'll show you how I fix that. Now I'm gluing this down with my fluid matte medium underneath and on top. And you can see the colors stay true to the butterfly, but there is that halo. And I've put in the quote that is from my Embrace Possibility sentiment pack. And I have the girl. I'm just getting the composition all done. So I'm keeping them in place just so I get it all right. Now I'm gluing the girl down with the gel, with the fluid medium, giving a good coat on top because I will be painting her. So those 10 faces to finish are just absolutely wonderful, especially if you're like me and you can't draw or you can't do faces or you don't think you can. This way we can have faces. Now here I'm colorizing that white halo out. I'm looking and seeing what color that's there using a fine small brush and my finger, just colorizing it out. And this combination really makes these butterflies look like they really are part of that background. I absolutely love how that worked, how it turned out. So I decide I'm going to put one of these butterflies in her hair. I'm gessoing out some of this dark part because again, I don't want those dark lines that are on her hair to come through the napkin butterfly. Add a little bit of the gesso where the butterfly is going to go off the page. Again, I don't want to see that color. I want the colors to stay true to the way they are. And gluing it down. Now it's time to paint the girl. And again, I'm using the same colors that are in the background. This is Naples yellow, and I'm putting it on with an angle brush, and I'm mixing it with white gesso to lighten it. I'm simply right now focused on getting a base color, but I like to have some difference in tone. So some of it's lighter Naples yellow, some of it's darker. I will be coming in and shading and adding detail. This is simply the base color. Now I mix the quinacridone magenta, a little bit of quinacridone magenta with the Naples yellow and the gesso to get a flesh color. You can go more pink or more yellow or depending on what you like. And I'm just painting it out. Again, I'm getting that base color. Now I'm not used to painting faces or shading faces, so I'm learning. And every time I do it, I will get better. Here I have the quinacridone magenta with a little bit of the Naples yellow for the lips. And this way, what colors I've used in the focal image are the colors in the background. Even when I've mixed them and blended them together, it's the same color. Now I'm shading with the floating acrylic technique with some brown. And then I come in, and you'll see me doing that with a little bit of black as well. And this is where, when you add the shading to that base color, your focal image will come alive. You're painting. Mix colors, you get better color tone, and then the shading. That is my secret. I struggled with deciding on the quote for this one. What quote would you have put? Is there one that you think would go with the butterflies and the girl? Leave me a comment in the comment section below. There's a link to Elena Zinski Art, her Etsy store, where you can go check out all her digital stamps. And there's a link to NinnysNapkins, as well as links where you can purchase my sentiment packs or my prompt and process cards. I chose the Prussian blue with a little bit of Naples yellow for the eyes. Dotted the eyes with the stylus. I have a feeling I'm going to use a lot of these faces. I've always loved when people use faces on their art journal pages. It just wasn't something that I feel comfortable doing, but now I can do it. There I'm adding the black with the shading. Adding some blush to her cheeks, highlights. I'm brightening up the white of this butterfly. I want this one to stand out more than the others and go with the white that's in the quote. I'm shading around the outside to edge it. Again, using the floating acrylic technique and black acrylic paint. Now I want to splatter with gold, and I had cleaned out my splatter container. So I just added some gold paint, I added some water, and I'm mixing it up. The gold takes a little bit of time to get there. I don't want the splatter on the sentiment or on the face. So I'm going to cover them up. And I'm adding a few more colors. Now that I have everything, I'm just balancing it out. And here we go with the splattering of the gold paint. Which just makes this all together more special. Now I'm using a micron pen, I believe here, just to make the eyelashes. And this micron pen is mostly dried out, so it's fighting me a bit, but I get it done. I grab my black Posca pen and I'm just outlining my sentiment just to make it stand out a little bit. It just looked a little unfinished the way it was. And taking off the tape from the coil. I love how this turned out so much. Every part of this, and I hope you do too. So let's recap the steps to creating this page. I started with a gel print, the pull-off prints, and that dictated the color and the theme. I used napkins in the background, that black and white one and that script one that Didn't quite make it to the top layer, but I'll definitely be coming back to use it again. I also use the butterfly ones, which are in the background. I applied a wash of color to the whole page. It's kind of block and blend, kind of a wash of color to add more, make the colors just a little brighter. I used a couple different stencils to create some pattern in the background. Again, following what was already there. And I used the same colors as I had in the background. I used the digital download as the focal image, and I shrunk it to the size to fit my page and my plan. Now I use the napkins, these butterfly napkins, as a secondary focal image. One's right on the focal image. Then I colorized by using acrylic paint the digital focal image. Using the same colors, again, that are in the background. I shaded and highlighted the focal image. I added the sentiment. I splattered with gold. And I edged the page with black acrylic paint. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, go get creative. Bye for now.